right. Good evening and welcome to Journeys with Judy. Tonight we are in Lancaster, PA, and we are here to interview Lana Ryder. She is a licensed massage therapist, holistic health coach, course creator, and an author. She does many, many things, and I can't wait to talk to her. We had to stop talking before the interview started because I was getting too many answers already. Jen and I met Lana actually at the August retreat at Bon Secours, where you came and did a sound therapy session one evening, and it was absolutely amazing. I had never been exposed to one. I had played with singing bowls a little bit, but all the wonderful instruments that you brought, and just, it was amazing with the vibration and sound, how actually healing it really was. I was a percussionist. I played drums for 12 years, but I was never felt that I was musically inclined. So to sit through your session and experience the benefits of it was very eye-opening to me. And before Lana left that day, we asked if she would book on the show with us. So we're very happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Yes, we're excited to find out everything about you.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and grew up in that area, basically on what they call the West Shore, the Camp Hill, Mechanicsburg, and pretty much that whole area.
Yeah. So you spent your whole childhood there?
Yes, Lemoyne, and then after that we were in Mechanicsburg for the rest of, till I graduated from high school. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister, an older sister, and an older brother.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Now, is your brother the oldest?
Yes, he is.
You fall right in line where I do in my family.
Middle child.
I have an older brother, older sister, and a younger sister.
Third child.
Exactly. I always felt like the middle child.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Now, are they all musical as well?
They are. My younger sister hasn't really done anything with it at all, but I know my brother plays guitar a little bit, and I know when we were younger he sang. He had a gorgeous voice, and my older sister played piano very well, and I know she could sing. So, but they never really, they were never in a band or played,
So the four of you never got together and made music together?
No. Oh, well, carrying on as kids, singing together, but no, not really.
Okay. Are you close with them? Do they live nearby?
No, they're not in the immediate area. My brother's above Harrisburg, and older sister is over in northern New Jersey, just south of the New York skyline. So, and I'm not sure where my younger sister is right now. So.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. How would you best describe your childhood?
It was crazy. It was crazy. Yeah.
Okay. Would you care to elaborate or no?
Well, it was crazy in that we came from, my younger sister and I have the same father, and so my parents were, I would say they did the best that they could. You know how that is. We do what we can with where we are at the time.
Right.
And so, but there was a lot of turmoil and a lot of fighting, and alcohol was involved, and so later on in life I had to go through the therapy like everyone else does with codependency and and some other things, and then my mother had what she called a nervous breakdown. That's what they called them back then. This would have been in the 1950s.
Mm.
So yeah, I'll be 70 next year. So
That's unbelievable.
so we were put in an orphanage for a year when it would have been third grade for me.
Oh, wow.
And so then abandonment was a big issue for me, and,
Yes.
and not feeling real secure. So it was a hard thing, but it did make me who I am today. You know, it helps. You know, all those things come in to
Mhm.
play, and so yeah, it was a crazy childhood. It wasn't easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in all that, do you have a fondest childhood memory?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I have some good memories.
Good.
Yeah. My fondest childhood memories were when we would go to my father's parents, my grandparents, his that side of the family, because my grandmother was really a source of just nurturing and love, and really showed us a lot of caring, and instilled in us that no matter what, we were loved, and plus she made a lot of good food, and pies and cakes and cookies, and so
Sounds
it
like
was
you
fun.
felt safe there.
I did. I felt really safe
Yeah.
there. I really did.
Okay. So you've talked about. My question is, what was challenging for you as a child? You said third grade. You spent a year in an orphanage.
Yeah, we were it was a Lutheran home for children. It was up in Loysville, which I think that's in Perry County. And I think now it's more like a detention home. But back then it was a Lutheran home for children who either were orphans or had nowhere else to go. So, yeah, we were.
Okay. Now, what about your
Yeah.
teenage years?
Well, teenage years, I was the typical teenager, rebellious, thinking you know it all, and running here and running there, and getting caught, and so. But it was important to me to do well in school, and I enjoyed school, so that gave me some stability, and I did pretty well in school, and I was involved in a number of extracurricular activities, and did well with those.
So what kind of extracurriculars were you involved in?
Well, surprise, singing.
Okay.
The girls' chorus, the chorus, in one of our musicals. And I was in the newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you kept yourself nice and busy.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I liked school.
Excellent. What about young adulthood? You get out of high school, what do? Where'd you go? Did you go to college?
I was supposed to go to college. Was accepted at Hack in their liberal arts program, and that's a whole other long story. So I'll just we only have an hour, so I'll just say that I ended up getting married and had a baby right away, and that was all good. Yeah, young adulthood. So I had to grow up kind of fast anyways, because of the kind of life that I had lived up to that point.
Right, the experiences that you've had.
Yeah, my mother was a musician and played the organ. She was out in clubs and things. She was a professional musician all her life. So
so even when she did come back, she was always out doing gigs.
And she had to work, to support the family. I mean,
Right.
so, but I had to get up in the morning and get myself breakfast. Even in first grade, I remember doing this and taking care of her and learning how to iron my own clothes, in first grade.
Wow.
So those were things that,
You grew up very fast.
yeah, I had to. So then young adulthood, getting married and having a child was actually welcome at the time. It felt very stable. I had my own home. I had a lot of love from my first husband's family and stability there. So, that was good.
That felt good.
Yeah,
Good.
for a while.
Okay, for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you have, how many kids do you have?
I have two.
Okay.
I have a son who's also musically gifted, and a daughter also. He's, I don't know if he wants me to tell this or not. If you're listening, tell me quick, not to tell him your age. But anyways, Tony is going to be 50, and Angela's going to be not too far behind that. I don't know if she cares if I tell her age. So.
Not too far behind.
Yeah.
Age is just a number.
Yeah. So, and they're both, like I said, they both have many talents, but yeah.
They're musically gifted as well.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
do they live local?
Yes, they do.
Excellent.
Yeah. He's up in Harrisburg, and she's over in York. So.
Grandchildren?
Yeah, I've got 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, are they musically talented as well?
They are. Yeah.
Do
yeah.
they have a heavy interest in it? Some of them have the gift, and then they're just kind of like, eh.
Well, the 2 granddaughters can sing. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandson, he does the I forget what you call it now. Where they go with the turntables and
The DJ?
Well, no, yeah, like they go to these dub festivals and that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys, I don't know about it.
That's okay.
Anyways, yeah.
That's all right. Okay. So, what do you find challenging now?
Life.
Life in general?
Life is challenging. Yeah. My son and I were texting a little bit last night, and I said, he said, life is complicated. And I'm like, yeah, life is complicated. So, I think for me right now, the biggest challenge is aging. Because I'm finding at this age, I cannot do what I did 20 years ago. And you hear a lot of seniors say that they are, the mind wants to, but the body doesn't quite do it. And I have a lot of vitality and stamina and health, but I still can't do what I used to do.
Okay.
So.
All right. What jobs have you had to this point? And you laughed at that question when you had the preview. You can only highlight the ones that you want to highlight.
Yeah.
Did you have a job in high school?
I did work a little bit at, there was a store where I worked as a retail clerk for a little bit. That was to save money to go to Rome. I took Latin, and in my 3rd year of Latin, I had the opportunity to go, to Italy, and so
nice.
I worked, to save money to go there. But after that, the first real full-time job I had was working as, it was called a personnel assistant, because we didn't call it human relations back then. It was called personnel.
Gotcha.
And so I did that at Capital Blue Cross, and I worked at Pennsylvania Blue Shield, and in between the things, I took courses and classes in medical, secretarial, medical assisting, and that continued on through the years. So then after that, I mostly always then worked in physicians' offices or hospitals, doing medical secretarial, medical assisting. I was also a trained phlebotomist, an ophthalmic assistant, an allergy technician. So basically all, in the medical field. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So at what point how did you start your spiritual journey?
I started that pretty young.
Okay.
I remember when I was 8 years old, looking out the window, and we weren't a religious family, um, but I remember looking at the window at 8 years old and just praying and saying, I wanted to do something with God. And of course, an 8-year-old child, you don't quite know how to word that.
Right.
But so, and my mom had a lot of spiritual books around, and she was always interested in alternative ways of being healthy. And the one books that I remember that she had that I would start reading, no, not when I was 8, but maybe like at 12 or so, were the Edgar Cayce books.
Okay.
And that really instilled in me that curiosity and, wanting to know more. And I remember when the Rachel Carson book came out, Silent Spring, which was back then really groundbreaking for what we are doing to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to thank my mother and credit her with being aware and introducing me to those kinds of, not just the health of the individual, because she also went to nurses training school back in the late 30s, early 1940s. So she had all her nursing books around as
Okay.
well. So health and music were always a part of my life.
And you're very willing to educate yourself.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You can definitely tell that you've been one, well, now it sounds like from very little on, that just picks up and absorbs information.
Yeah.
So you've always had this spiritual presence in your life.
It's been there, yeah.
So you're working in the medical field. At what point did you become a massage therapist?
That didn't happen until I was 43. So,
Really?
So before all that was the allopathic medical field for the most part. I did a short stint in advertising for radio, radio and TV station. I did, so I was an account executive and so forth, and that was interesting, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't where I was supposed to be. So I did some voiceovers for commercials and ran camera, and when I wasn't out selling advertising time. So but backing up to and segueing this into this question as far as the spiritual journey, in high school I started reading Rumi and Krishnamurti and Khalil Gibran, and the kids I was hanging with were all into that too. So it really, I think, maybe more seriously started then.
Okay.
And then I learned about the 7 rays of light, and when I was like maybe about 21, 22.
Now, was your first husband open to all this too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Outstanding.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we raised our kids and did all that and that you do, and went to we got really involved with the church, and I was in the born again Christian realm for quite a few years, and was had a gospel music ministry there, and so I was worship director and churches, and so
You've done all kinds of things.
Women's Missionary Prayer Fellowship president in the Harrisburg, Lancaster, York area. That was with the Christian Missionary Alliance Church. So so spirituality's always been there in one form or another.
And organized religion. Are you still a member of an organized religion?
No, not
anymore?
really.
Okay.
No. I still believe what I learned,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a very different perspective. It's much more open. It's more loving.
Mm-hmm.
It's truly free. It's freed me
Mm-hmm.
to be who I am. Yeah. There is now, therefore, no condemnation. There's that verse that tells us those who are in Christ, and I still love Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely, my leader, but there's a whole bunch of other ones around me too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. We've said this before, that it's a misconception that spiritual people don't believe in God, which has been interesting to me, because I've always believed in God. I grew up Methodist, and apparently my Methodist church was very liberal for the time I went there, because I was never taught to judge or to hate or to limit other people. And my Sunday school teacher, Carol Ditto, she was amazing. She exposed us to all different religions, and we had guest speakers, and I mean, we talked about everything from abortion to homosexuality, and I was in high school when she exposed all that to us. And, you know, the one thing I walked out of there knowing is, A, the Methodists always have food available. There's always casseroles. And B, God loves you. And God is everywhere.
Yeah.
God is love.
God is love.
God is love.
That's my main verse.
Yeah.
God is love.
God is love. Okay, so
Yeah.
at 43, you decide you're going to shake everything up and become a massage therapist.
Yeah, well, I was very depressed at that point in my life, and I really had trouble pulling myself out of it.
Can we ask why?
So
Would you like to
there
share
was
why
a lot
or no?
going on. Well, there was a lot going on at home.
Mhm.
I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel like my life was going where I wanted it to go. I was always happy working in, you know, the allopathic medical profession, but by then I had started learning and reading more about holistic health, and I felt trapped. I felt like I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to do with my life. I just knew I wasn't happy, and struggling with that for a couple years. And I had some suicidal thoughts. I didn't want to kill myself, but as I later told a therapist, I said, I just don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Of course, here, that meant the way my life is.
Right.
I didn't want that. So what did I do with that? How was I going to get out of that? How was I going to make something else happen? And by then my kids were grown, and you know, so that wasn't a major consideration. But I saw an ad in a magazine called Today's Christian Woman, and there was a place out in Los Angeles where you could, where Christian people could go and deal with their mental health issues. So I was able to go out there, and it was a week of intensive therapy. And while I was out there, I decided, because of my experience with my own massage therapist, that I wanted to become a massage therapist. I thought, well, I can be in a nice quiet little room with pretty music and just work on people. I could do that all day long
That works.
instead of managing, you know, an office and getting stressed and having people yell at you. And so I thought, yeah, I can do that. So I did. When I came back, I went to Lancaster School of Massage, and the director of the school was just wonderful, Winona Bontrager. She's still wonderful. And she worked it out for me. I didn't have any money at the time, didn't have any extra money. So she worked it out, you know, that I could do this payment plan. And I was working 2 other jobs then. I worked for an ENT in York, and she said, okay, if you can go, because it meant I had to be gone 5 days a week, just in the mornings. And so she said, okay, if you get your work done. And then the part-time job I had in the credit department at the now defunct Bon-Ton. So much good I did for them, credit department. So,
I fell apart when you left.
yeah.
That's what happened.
There you go. So yeah, I was working, you know, and working, and anyways, all the bosses said, yes, go ahead, if you can do this, this, and this, we'll let you go. And so that all worked out. So, and I really thought they were barriers that, well, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
But it was big for me to have to go and ask for what I wanted.
Right.
Because it was like...
That was huge. That was a big message to the universe that you were serious.
Well, there you go. And I didn't know how to frame it like that then.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Wow.
So...
Okay, so you come back from your trip.
Yeah. It was a trip.
You arrange all this. How long did it take you to get through your schooling?
That was about this in a long time. So it was, oh, well, let's see, I started March. 6 months. Yeah, it was
Okay.
500 hours then.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you finish, you graduate. What did you do then?
Well, I worked part-time. Before I even graduated, there was a woman in New York who had a full-time practice, and she was looking for somebody to help with her overflow clients. She was very busy, and so I took that. So I worked part-time and still worked full-time, and yeah, and then someone else, after I was with her for a year, someone else approached me about running their she had this particular person had a kind of a forerunner to the day spa, because we're talking 20 some years ago.
It was a while ago.
So it was
it was a while ago.
It was. Yeah, so then I did that, and I became very busy very quickly. And I said, when I have 10 paying clients every week consistently, then I'll quit my full-time job. And so that's what I did, and I opened my own practice, rented my own space, and then started renting out rooms. And eventually then I had a holistic center. So.
Okay. So you're the licensed massage therapist. How did it transition to a holistic center?
Well, again, as you mentioned earlier, I'm always learning,
right.
And so I continue to learn, and a lot of different modalities, from dream analysis to well, even before I got into the sound therapy, I'm trying to think. There were so many things: herbal medicine and essential oils, aromatherapy.
Reiki?
Reiki. Took Reiki before the same year I got out of massage school. I took a Reiki 1.
I always call Reiki my gateway drug.
Yeah.
That's what drew me in.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, where were we going with that?
Well, things move quickly. We were saying things move quickly for you.
Did.
You went from being a licensed massage therapist to then opening your own holistic center.
Yeah.
Do you know what that time span was?
Well, it was probably like about the 3rd year after I got out of massage school.
Things did move very quickly.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Outstanding.
And it started with me renting out extra rooms that I had to other massage therapists. And then I had people asking me, well, could I rent a room one day a week to do some raindrop therapy or Reiki or whatever? And so it just kind of snowballed.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's what happened.
Okay, so you've educated yourself. You were trained in a lot of different modalities, essential oils and things like that. When did sound therapy come into play?
Well, I knew, having a background as a professional vocalist and singing, because I had been in some bands. We left that out too.
I was going to say, now back up now.
So, that's okay. So from doing that and having always having this really great interest in music, and even now I say life is music, because it actually literally is. But I didn't know that then. But I knew that just with my clients lying on the table listening to pretty music, that was wonderful. And I knew about entrainment, and the slower music helps entrain the heart, to decrease the rate, the respiratory rate, to really calm someone, just listening to softer music, slower music. So I worked part-time when WellSpan, New York Hospital, decided they were going to open a holistic health center. I got in on that right away because it really interested me. Having the medical background that I did, I always wanted to keep massage therapy in that medical realm and keep it, as just always considering the professionalism of the field. So I volunteered to go in there and then start working there. But before we even opened, the medical director at the time, um, he had said that we were going to bring someone in to speak to the staff at the hospital and WellSpan Health, um, and also to the public, to help them kind of accept where we could go with alternative medicine. Because they were going to have, acupuncture and massage and Reiki and so forth. So when he told me they were going to bring in Dr. Mitch Gaynor, who I had just bought a book the night before, unbeknownst that he was coming to speak to us, that he wrote, The Healing Power of Sound. And so I saw how you could use sound to work in conjunction with massage, and then eventually Reiki and so forth, and eventually on its own. But he gave a meditation. He used a crystal bowl at one of his lectures to us, and he didn't use a lot of words. It was just a few things he said, and then he just played this crystal bowl, and I was just transported to this awesome place, and I just thought, this is it. This is how I can bring music in as a healing modality without being a music therapist.
Right. Because that's different.
That is different. Sound therapy is not music therapy. Although music therapists, many are now incorporating sound therapy, which is wonderful.
When we spoke before the show started, you said music therapy, you have to go to college and things like okay.
Yeah.
And sound therapy.
And then they do an internship, I believe, for a year too. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's all very fascinating. I want to go back to the bands. Tell me about the bands you were in.
So, well, I was in a couple of different projects, and the one I guess I stuck with the longest was the blues band, and that was out of Harrisburg. And they were really patient with me. They, I really enjoyed that, and it was a lot of fun. It didn't pay very much, as most musicians will tell you today. You do that because you love it. And so yeah, we
now, how old were you when you were in the blues band?
How old was I? I was probably, let's see, 50, 51, 52.
Really?
Because I'd done gospel music a lot before that, my earlier years. So, yeah.
So there was no band for you, like in high school or anything like that?
No, just the chorus, and I mean, I started voice lessons back then too. But yeah.
But no garage band or anything like that?
No, they didn't have garage bands then. They had Motown and Jimi Hendrix and so.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so you're introduced to sound therapy, and we said before you love to educate yourself. So what did you do? You said, this is it, this is how I'm going to do it. Where did you go from there?
Well, first of all, I read his book, which was very helpful. He was the chief oncologist at Strang Cancer Center, and I felt that gave a lot of validity to sound as therapy. And reading his book and the results that he had with his patients, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I took an online course with Jonathan Goldman, and I did some research. Now, understand, there wasn't very much out there back then.
Right.
So a lot of the sound, how to use sound, I kind of had to improvise and just use my musicality and my medical background to kind of guide me as to what I was doing. When I started out, I had one set of tuning forks, and I had one little Tibetan bowl, and it was from Tibet. A lot of people call these metal bowls Tibetan bowls, and a lot of them are not from Tibet. They're from other parts of the world and manufactured and so forth throughout the world. But anyways, I had that, and I had my voice, and so I saw results not knowing what I was doing for the most part. Um,
Would you go out on a limb and say you were divinely guided?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm always out on that limb, so it's not going out. I mean, I'm always.
You live out there.
I feel, yeah, I feel like it. Yeah, I listen, and I've learned over the years. I've learned to listen more and more to my gut, and what's true for me.
Mhm.
The voice. So yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
and it's always guides me the right way. So yeah, so it's been a long spiritual journey, and I've really enjoyed learning a lot. And you've probably heard me say this before, but we don't know what we don't know.
No.
So
Absolutely.
if somebody says 432 hertz is the magic number we should be tuning our instruments to, the A, instead of the 440, which is what it is, then I say, well, we really don't have a lot of proof about that, but if you believe it does and it works for you, hey, go for it. But there are a lot of myths being circulated in the sound therapy world, and some of them really are nonsense. And
Well, I just took a business class with you
Mhm.
on Monday, and that's
Mhm.
what you had said. Don't believe everything you read.
that's right.
Really look into it. Do you have any advice for anybody who is searching for more information?
On sound therapy?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
You wouldn't have written a book or two, would you have? That they could read?
I've written 2 books, but they're not about sound.
Okay.
I mention sound in them because of its importance in my life, but no, not
Okay.
about sound. Oh, they can take my classes.
Of course, there's that.
Of course. There are a lot of people around, and I hate to say give anyone preference over another, but I would, if anybody wants to contact me and ask who I would recommend, because there are people. I introduce people to sound, and you got to start somewhere. So I get them in the door. I've been speaking and preaching. You heard me preach on Monday a little bit, and introducing people to the healing power of sound, and what that really means. And then from there, they can go on and study it more in depth or more specifically. They can just take a Himalayan bowl class, or tuning forks or voice or whatever. And so
Any books that you would recommend? I mean, I know you said the one.
I'd still recommend that book, even though he's rest in peace. He did pass away, but yeah, Mitch Gaynor, The Healing Power of Sound. There are a lot of books.
Okay.
If people look on my website, they can see some of the, or write to me,
Okay.
and depending what they're interested in, it might affect the book choice I give them.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, do you have to have a musical background to do sound therapy?
No, you
Okay.
do not. No, you don't. I find that those who are musical and trained musicians, they understand a lot of things about it inherently that someone without a musical background wouldn't understand. But that can be taught at the beginner level.
Okay. And is it a lot like any other healing modality that you use? The more you use it, the more comfortable you get with following your gut, following the guidance that you get?
Yes, I think
Once you have
I
a
think-
foundation?
yes. I mean,
Okay.
anybody can look at a YouTube video of somebody whacking some balls and just copy it, but there's so much more to it than that. There really is. There's a lot more to it than that, and I think a lot of people getting into sound as therapy now don't realize that. There is one video, there are 2 videos that I recommend always, and if it's okay, I'll give those.
Sure.
There's one, Dr. Bruce Lipton, and he is being interviewed on sound healing. It's Bruce Lipton, on interview on sound healing. And then Dr. Alexander Tanous, Tannous, he's got a bunch of those on the internet, a bunch of these teaching videos. But the one I like people to watch first is the longest one. It's like 2.5 hours long, and he's just excellent, really excellent. So if you're serious about studying sound, I would start with those two.
Excellent. So it's a lot more than just whacking a bowl.
It is. Yeah, yeah. You've heard of that game, that whack-a-mole?
The whack-a-mole, yep.
So this is not whack-a-mole.
It is not whack-a-mole. It's not whack-a-mole. No.
Yeah.
What is Soundwise Health?
Well, Soundwise Health evolved out of, first of all, just me as a solo sound therapy practitioner, and back in 2010 I went back to school again and graduated from the Institute for Integrative Health to become a certified holistic health coach, and learning about bioindividuality and what diets work best for what types of people and so forth. A lot of good nutritional information, and how our lifestyle choices affect who we are and what we become, and how healthy we are or are not. And so I decided I would start incorporating that into my practice, because the one thing I was missing as a massage therapist, Reiki practitioner, and other energetic modalities, sound therapy of course, was the nutritional aspect. I thought I knew a lot, because I had started studying that also, nutrition and herbal medicine and so forth, back when I was in my early 20s. So, but I really didn't know enough, and I knew that I didn't know enough, so I went to school for that. And people would ask me, well, do you have any recommendations what I can do, or as far as my diet? I'm really struggling to lose weight. What can I do? And so that was like the missing piece, because I had enough of all of the other components of holistic health. So what I do now, I offer Council of Sound sessions, and those are 1.5-hour long sessions where people get the sound therapy, and depending on what they want or need, because I do an intake interview, it's not just them filling out a form and handing it to me, but I really go over some more thorough, specific questions with them to see what they need, what they want. And then based on what I get from the sound session, because I work intuitively, and sometimes I do, I always get, this is needed, or maybe this happened at a certain age, and through working with the tuning forks in the biofield, I can hear things that are where maybe some trauma or something significant happened in someone's life. So then I take all of this information, and at the end, after they're done with the, on the table.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. No problem. So I take all that information, and we go over it then, and I give them, a recommended plan. And of course, I don't prescribe or diagnose, because I'm not a physician.
Right.
But based on my, the scope of my limitations, I can give them certain, counsel. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so I call it Council of Sound, because the instruments really give me clues as to what's going on with someone.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. And it works.
So you use tuning forks, singing bowls, gongs. You have drums everywhere, wind chimes. I mean, just the room is filled with musical instruments. It's beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. And this is only half, really. I still have more to bring in, but this is, I can see people here now. I have enough to do that. Yeah, and I do want to say I went on to study with a lot of other wonderful sound teachers, and people who really do know what they're talking about, and set me straight on some things. I have a lot of respect for those people. And again, I do pass their names on to people who are in the sound classes. So, and I make it real clear, this is your introduction to sound.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to teach you everything there is to know about the gong, because I don't know everything, okay? But I know enough to get you started.
Right.
And I'm not going to teach you the wrong thing, and the same with the bowls and so forth. Yeah.
And you continue to educate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh,
never
always.
stop learning.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have created some courses.
I have. Yeah.
You have Reiki Sound. Is there a question?
Katie wants to know if I can turn the camera around and look at this.
Oh. Well, we have our coats thrown all over the room.
Yes. Give us a minute.
Give us a minute.
Well, they can go on. Yeah, my. Well, I know why she's asking. She's a good soul.
She's a good soul.
Yeah, God bless her. Yeah.
Simmer down,
Yeah.
Katie Anna.
So, but I do want to say the rest of that question. But sound-wise, health. Then I got busier and busier, and so I needed help. And so I have 4 people now that help me, and now they also do group sound meditations and and work with sound and assist me in my sound meditations. Like we have the second Sunday sound meditations coming up here. They're starting again in January 13th is the first one, and they help me like at the booths and expos that I do.
Mhm.
And so
We had the privilege of meeting Deborah,
yes,
who
yes.
will be on the show in February.
All right.
Or March. No, she's March.
She's
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
Freaking out if she just heard I said February. But
Nah, she's cool.
yes,
but
she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. She's been a real blessing, as is Julie Moffett up in Harrisburg, and Natalie Bliss, who's that's also a Reiki sound teacher, and she's down in the Philadelphia area, and Danny Fiore is going to help me a little bit. She's up in Mechanicsburg. She gives wonderful sound immersions at her Just Plain Yoga in Lemoyne. Yeah. So put
So-
that plug
so-
in for all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
You mentioned Reiki Sound.
mm-hmm,
That's a course that you created.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me
It
what
is.
that is.
Well, I was also Yusui Reiki master teacher
Mhm.
for 15 years, and had, again, was always blessed to have full classes, and there's probably a couple hundred of them out there running around and tuned by me. But I saw how I could take Reiki and combine it with a specific protocol, introducing Reiki practitioners to sound and get them started. You know, and so using Reiki with sound and using the symbols in specific ways. And and that's a whole lot more there too. But yeah, so I did write the curriculum for that. And it gets changed and updated all the time.
Right.
So, and the same with Reiki Voice, which is specifically using the voice with Reiki.
Do you have to be able to sing well to
No.
do Reiki voice?
No, you don't.
No? Okay.
If Sherry Edwards, who she wrote what's her course called? Voice analysis. She says if you can moan, you can tone. So if you can tone, yeah, you know. I mean,
I love that.
I mean, you see a little baby, you go, oh, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see a piece of chocolate cake and you go,
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean, we do this. It's not hard. So no, you don't have to.
Yeah, you break it down like that. That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, we all have a voice. No matter if someone said to you can't sing, don't sing, shut up. No, the voice is our most beautiful instrument. It's your sound on your breath.
It was in a circle with Katie Anna and Alan, and that was the first time I was introduced to toning. I had no idea what it was, and that's what she said. Everybody has their own sound,
That's right.
and it was amazing. By the time I felt like there was 20 people in the room, and the whole room was just vibrating. It's something.
Well, that's why, you know, you create that field when you have 2 or more
Mhm.
gathered, you know, in that healing name. you feel it more. That's why the sound baths, I don't call mine a bath, but that's a whole other discussion. But that's why they're so powerful. I mean, you get that collective consciousness. You feel that from everyone, and it's powerful.
Extremely powerful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
Sonic massage is another course you created.
It is, and that's I teach the massage therapists how to use sound, begin to use sound in their practice in ways that they don't have to be a musician or a sound therapist. They don't have to know anything about sound at that point. We teach them simple, basic ways to begin using sound, just like I started out.
Passing on tools.
It's not hard, and really, most of the people that are lying on the table for the first time, experiencing sound for the first time, they love it. I just told someone today. She said, "Well, I have a bowl, but I'm kind of, afraid to use it." I said, maybe at the end of your session, just tap it gently. It's better to go too soft than too loud, and just see what they think.
See if they like it.
I said, I bet they will. Most people, I never met anybody who said I didn't like that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the first time, I was guided to use a drum in a session. And it was just over the chakras, the vibration, and I'll be honest, I really had no idea what I was doing. I was just guided to do the things that I did, and it
worked.
It was very cool. It was quite an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think maybe I need to learn more about that and figure out what the hell it was I was doing.
Somewhere deep inside you knew.
Somewhere,
That's
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you had mentioned you're a certified holistic health coach. What exactly does that mean? Is that the nutrition part that you were talking about? Okay.
Yeah, that was the when I graduated from IIN, and
Okay.
So I bring that piece of it into the Council of Sound sessions.
I love that Council of Sound. When somebody books a session with you, what could they expect? I mean, you have all these gifts. You do you will massage and you will do sound, but you'll do all that together. Because we were gifted a sound session from Deborah. That was our dessert when we went over there for dinner, and it was amazing, incredible. But there was no massage. So with you, there will be a combination of everything?
It could be. I'm getting more and more away from the massage.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I did that and had a really busy, successful practice for many years, and I loved it. But, you can't do it all the time.
I was going to say, how is it even possible?
Yeah. I mean, I can still do it. I'm still licensed, and, through the state. But they can expect a variety of things. They just lie on the table. I ask them what they want, and then I'll explain to them, okay, this is what I feel I'm going to do. That could change, but I may use the bowls. I may put them on the body. Often I do. With the tuning forks, the weighted tuning forks, of course, they get put on the body. It depends. I mean, everybody's so different and has such varied needs, and our energy, it changes. It's so variable. So when they come in to see me, they may have, say, their right shoulder is bothering them, and so I might automatically think, okay, well, I think I'm going to use the tuning fork on that, and it really, I'll just throw this in, it really almost doesn't matter what frequency I use. It works. I know I shared with the business class about that ganglion I had on my foot.
I was just going to talk about that.
That was amazing.
And those pictures are posted on your Facebook page.
They are. No? I know they're on my personal. I don't know if I put them on. I think I did. On Soundwise Health. Yeah. If not, I'll quickly rush home when we're done here and put them on. Yeah, because that's all documented. That's how that
tell our
worked.
viewers about that.
With the ganglion. Well, I had this large ganglion cysts. They're basically harmless. People often get them right here on their wrists, and they're little lumps, and they call them well, they used in days of yore, they used the Bible to just kind of whack them, the Bible whack to disperse that and get rid of it. But that's really not the way to do it. But this one came on my foot, because the top of my foot back by my right ankle, and it kept growing. It kept filling with that fluid. So it was getting to the point where I was having trouble wearing certain kinds of shoes. So I knew that from the initial exam I had had 2 years before that if it kept getting bigger and was really a problem, wasn't going away, they would have to do surgery. And I just can't afford surgery. I mean, I have health coverage. I'm blessed that way, but I can't take off, for a couple weeks and taking care of my mom and my husband and everything. So no, I can't do that. So I thought, well, duh, you're a sound therapist, and I had used sound on it before.
We tend to forget to help ourselves.
Yeah, and I had used sound on it before, but I wasn't as consistent as I needed to be. And I knew that, and I just kept putting it off. So finally I said, no, I need to do this. I need to know that I can do this. So I used a weighted tuning fork on it 2-3 times a day, every day, in like a week and a half. It went away. And Deborah, at the Illuminate Expo we were in, how are we doing with time?
Okay.
Yeah, back in June, that was, of this year. She saw it, and she worked on it a little bit. I just propped my foot up on her lap, and she did a little bit, rubbing it, and with the lymphatic drainage and so forth, techniques she used. But anyway, so it was starting to go away, and then I thought maybe it was getting worse, because my whole foot looked like it was getting a little more swollen. I thought, oh no, maybe I'm getting cellulitis or something. But there was no heat, there wasn't anything, that it didn't hurt anymore. And I thought, well, I'll give it another day or two. And I just kept using the tuning fork on it, and it just, one morning I woke up and the swelling was totally gone.
When you say using the tuning fork, you whack it?
You whack it.
And then
yeah.
put it on there?
Yeah. Well,
whack
you
the
can,
tuning fork
you
and
can,
then...
Yeah, you can strike it with a striker. You can use, sometimes they're like hockey pucks, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You can use your knee if you want, if you don't mind getting, bruised knee. Yeah, and of course it vibrates, and then you put the end of it on. I have some over there. I didn't bring any over here, though, to show you how they work. But, yeah, I just kept putting that right on it, and the vibrations from that, yeah, it just...
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I remember,
I did use my voice.
I remember seeing that on Facebook when you posted
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And the doctor, I told him, the orthopedist, he let me take pictures of the X-ray, which wouldn't show the soft tissue, but it did, show there was a little bit of a decrease in that area. It was, he basically said, hey, if it works, whatever. So
we need more and more of our doctors to say that.
Yeah, well, I was surprised. I mean, I didn't think he would be okay with it, but he was okay with it, and yeah. So he said whatever. So I was just glad he was open to listening and letting me show him the pictures.
Yes.
Of it, because he could clearly see. Oh, it worked.
It definitely worked.
Yeah.
Now we have some of your instruments here in front of us that we thought we'd play with a little bit, or you would play with. So what do you have here?
Well, there's so many things. I'm going to hand you my Reiki voice drum.
Ooh.
Which this symbol came to me for the Reiki voice symbol, and Holly Blyler did her artwork on that. She took my symbol and put it on. I can hear it. Yeah, these frame drums are wonderful for natural amplification. But anyways, yeah. So we have the metal bowl, Himalayan bowl, Tibetan bowl. I don't know if you'll be able to hear this with the And then this is always a favorite in the group sound immersions. And I use this also at the expos because when people are sitting in a chair, I can put this down over their head. And they love it. They feel this.
It's like a shower.
It is.
Yeah.
And there are a variety of ways that I use this, and I actually use it as a diagnostic tool, going down over the body and listening. There are discrepancies that occur, certain waverings, and the tone changes. Sometimes it drops real quickly, but you can do that with most of the sound instruments if you know what you're doing. I'll just put that there.
Okay.
Okay. Of course, you have crystal balls. This is just my little baby heart ball. It's a small one, so. Of course, the crystal quartz resonates with us. Our bones are crystalline in structure. So with the, do you want to try your hand at that since you've been a drummer? No.
No.
No. Okay. So drumming circles are real popular right now, and a lot of times these are not the drums that people are using for them, but whether you're that's just a couple things there.
Yes.
Could you hear that?
Yeah.
It was
Oh,
beautiful.
okay. And
Try
so
not to cry.
oh.
Wow.
When people see, there's nothing like the human voice.
No, that's beautiful.
So when people take the Reiki voice class, they all get to work with the frame drums, and they get shown some different techniques, and yeah. And I always encourage people to just do what feels right for you, because that's part of the fun of working with sound.
Yeah. That's awesome.
The science of it is very important, but equally important is the art of it. And I think finding the balance is a good way to approach it. So,
All right.
okay, we
That's
probably
fantastic.
went over.
That's okay. We have a lot of new people that watch our show, new to spirituality. Do you have any pearls of wisdom that you'd like to offer them when they're just beginning?
I would say to remember that no matter where you're looking, no matter what spiritual belief or guru or book or whatever you're looking to follow, how does it line up with love? Because everything is love. If we have everything but we don't have love, then it's for nothing.
Oh, yes.
And because with love comes grace and forgiveness and kindness and compassion, and anything that lines up with that's a pretty good measuring stick. How does it line up with love? Because no one system, no one way of believing or following has all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even like to wear a label and say I'm a this or I'm a that.
Right.
I embrace it all if it lines up with love. And I have that peace that passes understanding about it. You know, when you have peace and love, what more could you have?
Right. I love that. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank
This
you.
has been great.
Thank
It's been
you,
a lot of
everybody.
fun. Thank you. Jen, do we have anything?
Just have any CDs?
I have one CD, my Council of Sound Sessions. It's only about a half an hour long, but if you write to me, I'll see that you get one.
Okay. And I shared your Facebook page, which has your contact information on
Yeah,
it.
it does. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, anything else? All right, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll be back next week. I don't know who we have on the show. It's terrible. I'm drawing a blank at the moment.
Dr. Dave?
Is it December 5th?
Yeah.
Yes, we will be with Dr. Dave Frederick. So, don't forget you're awesome. Have a great night. Thank you so much.